And I am excited today because I've always said it, the pilot doesn't serve drinks on the plane. They can if they want. I'm sure they've got the ability to do it, but they know that there's a more important job to get done. And for that pilot, it's to get the plane from A to B safely. And in real estate, the pilot is the lister, the negotiator, the deal maker, the person that is actually doing the $100, $200, $1,000 an hour job, and that they have a flight attendant. Well, not a flight attendant, but today you're going to hear about the remote professional that's going to help you 2x, maybe 3x your income, because all of a sudden you're doing the right actions, not the easy actions. You're doing the things that either get you a listing, help you make a sale, and building a personal brand. And with me today, we have got the owners of Wingman, both Jonathan and Nick, and we've also got Daniel Lee, who is a client of that business, and many of you know him because you know how I feel about his videos, the ability to actually laugh at our industry, but at the same time, be valuable. You nail it there, Daniel. And in addition to that, Kevin Dearlove, who is one of you, those you that are watching every day. He's listing and selling, and he's going to talk about his experience on dealing with a remote professional. But let's bring him in. Firstly, Jonathan and Nick, good to see you.
Hey guys. See you last night.
Yep, you were there last night at the REB. You guys are throwing yourself in everything in the industry. You're on everything at the moment. Every event, you're on Zooms, you're on webinars because you're making an impact. And I think I'm really proud to have a relationship with you guys because you have come up and solved a problem. You are a Panadol in our industry, and we're going to talk a little bit about it. And also, Daniel, man, I'm watching from afar. You're doing great stuff. You're building an incredible brand and business. And just for the audience, tell them who you are, what you do, just in case they're not aware of you.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for the intro, Tom. Everyone, my name's Daniel Lee. Started in sales in 2007 as a sales associate for about a year and a half when I was young, 22 at the time. Graduated to sales agent, worked at that LJ Hooker business for about almost 10 years. Was pretty successful there. Ended up leaving and starting my own business in 2016. I've been growing that for almost 8 years. That's become pretty successful. That's Plum Property in Brisbane. And now I've got a third business, which is Plum Partners, which we help agents to take that next step and progression in their career in starting their own brand and business, and we run their back end. So similar concept to UrbanX, except we're 10 times better.
Well, there you go. That's what I like about Daniel. He's straight to the point. He doesn't use Amway language. He doesn't. There's no cryptic dialogue. This is what it is. We're good. They're not as good. I get it. All righty. Thank you. And by the way, everyone, follow the great man Daniel on social media. You'll get a laugh, but I actually think you'll get some ideas. I think you'll actually get some ideas that might actually help you have this unique, authentic approach to social media and videos. And then, Kevin, how are you, Kevin?
Very well, Tom. Thank you.
Good to see you. So, Kevin, tell everyone about who you are, what you do, so they've got a background on you.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. Look, pretty similar journey to Dan, actually. So this is my 21st year. Started at a university, fresh as an associate. I was McGrath for 10 years, which was a great learning pad, and broke away and opened up the stone businesses in Beecroft and then subsequently Castlehill and Epping in 2017. So a very similar sort of pathway. Look, we're under selling principle. I'm on the ground, as you said. I'm listing and selling every day, as well as managing the team. And we're about 50 to 60 staff now, and a really, really solid group of humans. So, yeah, looking forward to adding some value here.
And Kevin, can I just confirm, you are a selling principal. You run your own BU, but you're also the principal of the office. But I would assume that most of your time is it listing and selling, and is that more than half the time?
Yeah, absolutely. Half the time, no question. So the listing, selling on the ground, still very active in that selling role, still what I love to do. And then probably managing the sales agents. My wife and the leadership group manage the operations side as well as the PM side.
All righty. So, Jonathan and Nick, since our first video that we had, I noticed a number of clients who became aware of you have started telling me that they've they're in the process and they've joined up, and they're all really excited because often they had a view that they were stuck. I'll tell you why they were stuck, because they agree 100% that they should not have been sitting around, mucking around, doing database work and doing admin-based work. But on the same token, someone need to get it done. And often they just couldn't process the concept, I'm going to spend $75,000, $85,000 on someone that's going to help me. But often they were only making just a little bit more than that themselves. So it wasn't really an option. So often they would find themselves in a stuck state, and that people would ring me and say, Tom, I just feel like, man, I'm at capacity and I can't do more than 2-3 sales a month because I'm already stretched. And Wingman has addressed that issue. So can I just ask you both, are both these gentlemen, both Kevin and Daniel, are they clients of yours? What's the relationship? Yeah, help us understand what's your relationship with them?
Yeah. Well, so when I was 17, I saw a job advertisement up for Plum Property that I was going to apply for. So I always looked up to Dan Lee. He's quite well known in Queensland and built a really good reputation. So that's how I knew Dan from years ago. We've been working with Dan Lee for over 12 months now. He's got 13 of our remote professionals in his business and become good friends. And then Kevin Dearlove, I met about 18 months ago at a conference, and we got along really well. He actually came into our business in Brisbane and got to know what we do. And then I went to his business as well, and we built a good relationship. And he's got a few of our remote professionals in his business as well. So both clients and good friends now as well.
Okay. And that's what I like about this session, because when you speak to the company, they'll always tell you what they'd like you to hear. But I think you guys are different. I think I've known you enough over the last, say, 4 or 5 months to know that you generally want to make $1, but you actually want to deliver more value than what someone is paying, because you want to do a long-term sustainable model. So to kick it all off, I want to ask, I'm going to spend the next 15 minutes maybe talking, and you can chime in, Nick and Jonathan, but I want to talk to the guys that are actually using these remote professionals. By the way, that's the term we're using, remote professionals. We're not calling them, assistants, PAs, remote professionals, because they are professionals. These are not people getting their first job. A lot of the times, and you might want to confirm this to me, Jonathan, is they're highly credentialed peoples with university at undergraduate level completed. Is that right?
Yeah. Every single person we hire has a university degree or some sort of certificate in what they do, and arguably have the qualifications that a lot of Australians don't have. And one of our staff members is a solicitor and actually doing data work for us, and has a degree in law. A lot of them do accounting as well. So very educated people.
Okay. So, Daniel, tell me the sort of work these remote professionals are doing for you. What are the activities they do?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, I've been with Wingman for almost 2 years, Johnny. So get that right for next time. So I was a salesperson for many years. I hung up the boots a couple of years ago when I was able to take a step back from being full-time selling principal. But for many years, I ran the business and I sold at the same time. So I had a team of 3, 4 with associates and marketing assistant on my team. But we also had a remote professional on the team whilst I was a sales agent. So I developed a process whereby every single listing and sale that I got, we would do certain prospecting tasks. This is nothing any agent hasn't heard before. But all of those time-consuming preparation tasks around prospecting that usually an associate or someone else in the team would do, and they would waste their entire day doing, instead of actually doing calls and actual activities that bring business in, we would get outsourced to a remote professional. So things such as, like, as soon as we listed a property, we would find the 100 closest properties most similar surrounding that property, get a list of them using RP data and various sources. The remote professional would do a data search for all of those owners, phone numbers, emails. They would deliver that in an email to the associates. Here are the 100 closest properties most similar. So we're not bothering a 5-bedroom homeowner about a 2-bedroom unit we've just listed. We would always target specific properties that were very similar, that would be most likely interested in our information. And so that took away that preparation of having to find numbers and waste 4 hours of someone's time doing searches and things like that, so that the associates and myself could just get on the phones. They would then prepare a templated email about that listing, which would be all company branded and would be sent to all of the email addresses. They would prepare a templated text that would be sent via text to all of those owners that we could get mobiles for. And then they would prepare a letter templated on letterhead that would be sent to us, and they would use the CRM just to prepare those letters and send that in a PDF. And there'd be, could be every residential address that we had for all of those owners, and those would be printed and sent in the mail. So we were hitting every owner that had a similar property when we listed something. Every owner that had a similar property, we get a text, an email, a letter in the mail, and potentially a phone call from us as well, hitting them from every single angle. And so using the remote professional took out all of that preparation time of having to do all of that stuff, which if someone in our office was doing it, it would cost us, as a team, 80 grand to pay that person to do it. And plus that person would probably hate their job because, Australians are very picky about what they do. Whereas the remote professionals are very happy to sit there all day and do what we think are quite mundane tasks. But for them, it's a really, really good job. They really appreciate it. And they're very focused and efficient at that kind of thing. So that's how we really use them as a salesperson. And then inside my business now, I've got other salespeople in the business doing similar things. And some salespeople have different tasks that they get them to do. Some of them use them for CMA creation, preparing market reports, preparing templated emails for the month to go out to their whole database. There really is a whole range of things you can use a remote professional for. And so what I've done in my business now is, with a lot of roles in the business, we look at someone's role, and if we see all of the tasks that they do, anything that can be done from someone working from home that does not require a physical interaction with someone, i.e. an inspection somewhere, like it requires a physical body to go there, and anything that doesn't require one-on-one communication with a client, any other job in my mind can be done by a remote professional. So that's how I sort of see it. And over time, I've just found little parts of my business where I can go, well, does someone here in our office need to be doing that? Or can we teach someone overseas to do that? And maybe we just check the final approval before it goes out, Now,
so, Daniel, you raise a very good point, because we all know, particularly in the first half of your real estate career, when you're not an attraction agent, you do need to be reaching out and prospecting and essentially getting the attention of people that both and may not know. We call it prospecting. And one of the problems, Daniel, is that, like, a real estate agent goes to a conference and hears, go do 20 phone calls every day. And then they sit down. and they sit in front of the computer and they say, who do I call? What do I say? And before you know it, this phone prospecting session that you visualized was going to be, I'm on the phone talking to people, ends up becoming this ad hoc admin create a list as I go type thing. And what you're saying is that one of the core duties is that they're providing you high priority lists of people provided for you so you can get straight into what I call the golden hours. The golden hours is when you make your calls. The platinum hours is when you're doing your preparation to work out who you're calling. And what we're saying is the remote professional can do that and a hell of a lot of other things, including what you just said, the text messaging templates and what have you. I'm going to raise this to you, Kevin. What about yourself? What are they doing for you in your business and maybe in your EBU?
Okay, Tom, we're pretty integrated. So when we met Jono, I think that their business was quite advanced. So we're deeply integrated at the moment. So our front office manager, our reception for our entire group is a remote professional. So we have Ivory. She's an absolute star. Look, Dan actually touched on it when he said the word teach, and that's probably the one point that I would raise is you get a remote professional. It's literally what you put into them, you get out of them. Like any staff member or any team member, I think based here. You've got to spend the time to work with them and train them how you want them to work within your team. And then there's a natural skill up and level up over certain time. So our first point of reference in our business is Ivory, and she's based overseas. You never know it with the technology we have available. And she's beautifully well spoken. She can handle, she's trained now to handle a lot of those phone calls at first instance, rather than just delegating that to the PM team or the sales team. So she is heavily integrated with us. That's the first step, and that's a big step. That's a big step for a business to take, especially when you've got a call center type experiences like maybe Optus or what have you, where it's all based overseas, and that can be a terrible experience. So we were very conscious and wary of that as a business. So that was a huge tick box, and that kind of led the way flowing on. From there, we've got remote professionals in EBUs, just as Dan mentioned, very similar task driven. Data driven, template driven, but the data is probably key there. I'm a big fan of that. The huge part of that role, which I imagine Jono and Nick will talk about, is the integration through the PM team. And we talk about profitability, we talk about return on investment, and what we are now finding is that great property managers based in Australia are gold, and they're hard to come by. So when I went and saw Jono's business in Brisbane, what I basically saw, Tom, to put it in sales terms, was an EBU structure around a lead PM. And that was mind-blowing. That was, talk about light bulb moment, you talk about moments like that is A grade. It's profitable. And these guys were managing numbers of properties that most principals or directors would dream of having. And the staff members that we met certainly weren't stressed out of their minds and hating their job. This was a team-based PM structure that, for me, was a game changer. And now we are now all systems go down that path. And so we have got our remote professionals backing up and assisting our lead PMs, who we can now pay more. Let's get to the nuts and bolts of it. And the return on investment and scale and yield is far, far better. That's not even touching on the BDM side, which I'm sure the guys will lead into.
Okay, that's gold. A few of the deep dive type questions people I know would be asking right now as they're thinking, and obviously one of them is the hours that these remote professionals work and the sort of investment. You can chime in, Jonathan, and if Nick, if you want to chime in, but I want to ask the guys, like, what hours, Daniel, are they putting in? What time do they start? I think there's a time difference in the Philippines of either 3 hours or 4 hours or thereabouts, depends on whether it's daylight saving. And by the way, everyone, I'm so excited because Jonathan has told me we're going to be heading off to the Philippines to see things with our own eyes in September. And I can tell you, apart from it helping you commercially, mentally and spiritually, being able to go to a total different place and see how what people have to live with helps you come back and just say to yourself, man, we've won the birth lottery big time. And I can tell you, a happy agent is always a successful agent. Not a successful agent becomes a happy agent. Yeah, so Daniel, what hours do they work? Like, yeah, what's your investment per remote professional?
Yeah, they work full time, so it's 38 hours roughly. And yeah, there's a little time difference, but it's not bad. It's 2 hours, 2 or 3. And align with your business. So if you need the business time, they can do that. We're really flexible with ours. Like, you know, we treat them like employees. Like they're on the ground here, they're part of our family. You know, they got families, they got kids, they got school drop-offs. We let them work around that sort of stuff.
How do you communicate it, Daniel? Do you use Zoom or do you use a iMessage? What's your main way that you're talking to people?
Yeah, so Zoom or Microsoft Teams, really easy. I mean, we give them we even give them an email address for our business. So we give them the same resources really that our own employees here have. They are an employee to us. And yeah, so like we work around them. They can. We've got ones that, you know, they'll take from 2 till 3:30 off because they go pick up their kids, and then they'll work a little later in the evening. But there will be a remote professional out there that will suit your business hours. So you just need to talk to the team about it.
The business hours is a really big point of difference for us. So one of the big things for anyone on the call who's been to Manila, it's actually quicker to walk in Manila than actually get public transport. A lot of the Filipinos who live on the outskirts of Manila are commuting 2, 3, 4 hours every day to get to work. And our model is a work from home model, which does allow them more time to spend at home with their families. The Filipino culture is a very family orientated culture. And we find we get the best productivity and the best efficiencies from our team by having that model. And ultimately, they're doing better work and they're much happier. So it's a win-win for everyone.
Can I ask Jonathan, Nick, or anyone, roughly what's the investment if you took someone on, like Daniel says, as a full-timer, which is, what do you consider full-time, 35 hours? Or, you know,
yeah, 40 hours a week. The approximate investment's $500 a week. And that's for them to come through our training academy, including our fees. So it'll work out to about $12 to $14 per hour.
Okay, so just touch on that for a moment. You're telling me that the training is done at your end, not just at the agent that's hiring them. Is that right?
Yeah. So we put them through. A big thing that we focused on is because agents are so busy. And they've got so much going on. There's a lot of grunt work to training that we take on. So we do 3 months of training with the remote professionals before going into a business. So they're fully trained in the CRMs.
Sorry, are they getting trained for 3 months before they start, or they're getting trained on the job for 3 months once they start?
Before they start. So we've got 70 people right now in our training academy. So they actually sit with the Wingman community for 3 months. We train them on Australian culture. We train them on real estate, on CRMs. We fully train them in everything. So by the time they come into Dan Lee's or Kevin's business, they have a fundamental understanding of the industry. They know how to create agency agreements. They know how to create documents. I would argue they would know how to use the CRMs better than Aussies. And then it's up to the agency to put their personality and to actually take them from being a really good quality person to a irreplaceable staff member.
Okay, what can I ask Kevin, what CRM system do you use for sales side of the business?
They trained on every single CRM you could think of. So it depends. So we basically train them on
which
whatever.
one do you use? Kevin, which one do you use? Which CRM?
Yeah, Tom, we use Agent Box and Property Mate.
Okay, I want to ask Jonathan. So are they aware of the systems? You're saying to me, this is exciting, because I've got to tell you, you hire someone here. To me, it feels like, it's actually, I just worked out why the model is so good, because the traditional real estate agent that puts on an assistant, puts it on, and believes that that person should have mental telepathy. That person should have mental telepathy and understand the CRM system and understand exactly how the agency agreements work, how digital proposals work, this and that. And then what actually happens is they work out, no, they don't know how to do it. And then they think, shit, okay, well, I'll better train them. And then they get the shits because they're not listing and selling, and they just feel like, hey, I'm a manager. And they're not managers anyway. They can't manage a staff, right? Or they can't train the staff because they've always just been listing and selling and convincing people to give them their property. And that's where we end up getting this blockage, right? Where the lead agent says, Tom, she was hopeless. I had to show her everything. I didn't have the bloody time. Like, you were always going to fail if that was your model. It was never going to work, right? So, Jonathan, most of the systems that we use in Australia and / New Zealand, they're aware of it. Your academy's aware of them, correct?
Yeah, but do extensive training. So I would argue our remote professionals would be better than 90% of agencies in regards to their training in Agent Box. They would know Agent Box better than most people. So they actually, like a lot of our businesses, they actually run the CRMs for the agents. For me personally, I don't even know the password to my Property Me account and my CRM system. I just ask my offshore team to be doing that for me. Nick was in the car with me. I got a video of it yesterday. He was speaking to his EA in the Philippines saying, hey, Anne, can you send an email with this, and this? Can you add it into the CRM system? And can you set me a reminder for a week's time? And I've got a video of it on my phone. It blew me away.
Sorry, you go.
I was going to say, tell me, I was just thinking, is this a stupid idea? Can you send them, just an iPhone 5, for instance, just send it out to them, and that that you can be using iMessage with them and FaceTime with them? Because I know that sometimes in a lot of countries, iPhones are not the default phone like they are in Australia. Does that happen, or is that just a stupid idea I came up with in my head just then?
No, we sort that out. We've got clients doing that. Me personally, I use iMessage, and so it's all about replicating the system that the current agency is using. So we do that in our business. We use WhatsApp as well. Like a lot of agents use WhatsApp, and then Teams. So yeah, absolutely. Whatever software or like devices the agency needs, we can deliver those to their clients.
Susan, if you don't mind, in the background, would you please put in the chat box and also on Facebook in the comments the URL, because I think that there may be a few people on this, thank you, Susan, that are probably thinking to themselves, hang on a second. It's 24 grand for the year. It's 12 grand for 6 months. Man, like, that's a listing. That's a listing, right? That's a listing. So I just think to myself, $500 a week, that's tax deductible, to me is an absolute no-brainer if you don't have a professional at the moment. I want to ask you, Kevin, can I ask, what are some of the do's and don'ts you've worked out with dealing with these remote professionals? Things that work, things that don't.
I think that you touched on the biggest don't, Tom, in the sense that bring someone in and expect that it's all going to be it's just going to go smoothly from day one. I think best practice would be to have someone in your office who's going to guide and lead this integration. You're exactly right. Most lead agents are not managers. They are great catch and kill, transaction focused. Some of the best ones relationship focused, but they are busy people. I think the best agencies will lead these guys in becoming great managers and great leaders, and they need to be, I suppose, integrated with whether it's Wingman Group or what have you. The remote professional, it has to come part of that team. The communication is key. We use Microsoft Teams. They are part of that team. These are not just people on the other side of the world. They are massively integrated to the EBU, the property management team, or the business. They are team players, just as Dan alluded to. The biggest don't is just to sit back and hope that they deliver. They have to be part of the team with open arms and with respect that goes according like any other member of the team locally. That's the biggest, I suppose, don't and do from my side. It's a planned change of process for your business moving forward. We're not financial advisors, but there's things such as payroll tax, Tom, that comes into play here. There's other factors that directors and principals may be facing as they grow into a much bigger business. So it's a much deeper conversation and strategic decision. And we haven't even touched on the PM business, which is huge, as that goes through some change around yield and profitability is going down as costs of business go up. So I would say this is a big strategic change for most businesses. And if you're going to do it, go all in, and it's a full integration.
So, Kevin, you talk about property management, and I just can't get over. By the way, the other thing, and look, we've got great people that work and live in Australia, but I can't get over, Jonathan and Nick, how many of my clients are telling me these days that the mindset and the narrative of many employees is that they feel an entitlement to the role. They feel like quite often they're being told, because there's been a labor shortage in the country for a while, they have employees that are saying, give me 5 reasons why I should come and work for you, and what are you going to pay me? Whereas when you listen to the tone of the conversation of these remote professionals, they're treating it like a privilege to have this opportunity, a privilege to be able to work from home and provide for their families, a privilege to be contributing to a bigger thing. They're actually, you actually can really feel these people here, they care. And I've got to tell you, every lead agent needs another person behind their back that cares about their business. Like you care about your business. And I think that a lot of these people that have been brought up through challenging and adverse conditions, they are they've got a total attitude of gratitude for being able to work for someone. And I want to ask Daniel the same question, because you've had so many remote professionals working with you for the last 2 years. What are some of the do's and don'ts? What are the things you've learned 2 years down the track that can help people?
Yeah, so the first point is the training. Okay, you got to treat this person like a brand new person in your business. If you're a salesperson and you get a new associate in your business, they're not actually good for you in the first month. In fact, they're a bit of a drag. You get a new sales associate in the business, they say the wrong things on the phone. They don't know how to do a CMA properly. They stuff up all the time, and you're consistently having to hold their hand and sit them next to your computer and show them everything. But that in a month's time, they'll be better. In 2 months' time, they'll be even better. And in 3 months' time, they'll be great. You got to go into it with an attitude like that. The first month, actually, with your remote professional, although they're skilled up at a reasonable amount of things, your business is different to everyone else's business, and they've got to learn your processes, your procedures. And you've got to invest time. Either yourself or someone in your team needs to be that person's buddy to invest in that and invest the training. You invest the training, it comes and it pays back. And I would say at month 3, after 3 months, you will see, wow, we've got this person working full time. They're not making any mistakes. They're an absolute asset to us. So number 1 is training. Secondly, is that they don't all work out. Okay. It's not, and that's the problem with the past thing, a remote professional, and that word VA, virtual assistant. It's very robotic. A lot of people just say, oh, that sounds great, I'll go get a VA. I've heard they're awesome. Go get a VA and then just think that it's a robot. You're not walking in and getting a Tesla, which every single model is exactly the same. They're human beings, and they're not all the same. Okay. And I'll say that, yeah, I've got 12 now, but I've probably had to let go of 3 or 4 over the past couple of years because, they didn't quite work out. They, weren't showing up or they were making way too many mistakes. And, I just had to talk to the Wingman team and let them know, look, this this remote professional probably isn't going to work out in the long term. And it was very easy for me to switch over and get another one, which another great person, which would then fit in and would be awesome. So they don't all work out. So I would say if you do get one and it doesn't work out, don't give up. You know, you're not gonna like.
You raise a good point, Daniel, because I often find the blocker, the stopper, is someone is saying to themselves, man, what if it doesn't work out? I'm up for 80 grand. Well, no, you're not. What happens is you're going to know in 3 months' time, is this the right person? That investment in 3 months' time is 6 grand, right? 6 grand. Don't try and make it bigger than what it actually is. And as you've said, if you end up not being getting the one that you want, you address it. And you now, I presume you're happy with your current team by the sounds of it. By the sounds of it.
Yeah. Very happy with my current team. And when I have had a few issues with some, but not many. I would say 1 in 5 that we get, I eventually say it's probably not a good fit for our team, and we will get someone else. But that's probably better odds than employees that I get here.
Okay, I'm reading a question that's come from Aaron Brooker. It's asked to Jonathan and Nick, re the commercial sector. Do you have many commercial agents using these services? I'm taking note about the training, etc., which I suspect is applicable if residential, commercial. Of course, yes, 100%. I'm not sure whether you've got people in commercial, but I can pretty much tell you. I did 2 commercial conferences yesterday. I was in Melbourne doing, and I got to tell you, I said, the guy said to me, Tom, I'm letting you know that these guys are not resi agents. And I said, no problems. And at the end of it, he turned around, he said, shit, I didn't realize that you do commercial training. I said, all I did is I replaced the word with factory and house. He goes, oh, but everything is exactly the same. I said, it's not only exactly the same. I said, you probably realized that the top 5% in residential are far more progressed than the top 5% in commercial. They've got structures and they've got processes and they've got checklists and they run it as a business unit. But do you have commercial clients, and is it applicable? Does Wingman, I would presume it would, but
yeah, absolutely. Like the property sector. So even mortgage broking, we're financial planners. We've got a lot, anything in that field. Our training is specific to real estate with property management and sales. About 10% of our clients are in commercial.
Okay, Jennifer, hi Jennifer, has asked, what about confidentiality when they have total access to the CRM system?
Yeah, so no different to any staff member. They sign an employment agreement with Wingman. The security system that we put them onto is actually an external server through Australia, so they can't actually download anything off their computer. It's fully secure. We've actually compared it to a lot of Australian businesses, and it's stronger than Australian businesses. So very much security and data privacy is at the forefront of everyone's mind, and we want to be market leaders in that space. And confidentiality, they're signing employment agreements, and we've got solicitors over there if anything ever happened, but we've never had that happen.
Well, that's and to me, that's the other big advantage, I actually think, guys, because often what overwhelms people is, oh, what form, what contract do they have to fill? How do I do their super? All that side of it is taken off because the relationship the agent has is with Wingman, and you're doing all that stuff. You're ensuring the paperwork are dotted, the I's and the T's are crossed, and that an agent is not in any way breaking any law to do with HR or what have you.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. Like there is a lot of cultural differences, and there's a lot of HR and things that we have to sort out in the background, but that's our value add. Like we want to provide really good resources, help train them, help the Australian business use them and give them really good feedback. And we want to look after the rest.
Peter's asked, how do you effectively document the procedures? Is there a documentation of procedures? How does that all work?
Every business is different. that's the biggest thing we've noticed is we're not here to come and tell an agent, this is how you have to run your business. We're very much more like, hey, Kevin, let's have a discussion around how your business runs and how can we implement a really good quality staff member into your business. You know, we don't want to white label real estate. I think that everyone's got their own brand personality. But in saying that, we very much are on a journey that if someone wants assistance in building out processes and systems, we're happy to help them do that, both in property management and sales. But the likes of Dan Lee and Kevin, they've already got very successful businesses and they needed help actually with resourcing and implementing into their business, not us telling them how to run their business.
Okay. Peter's asked a question, and what are the major software you're using? Well, Peter, you may have jumped in later. They're pretty much trained in all the major CRMs. Daniel, what CRM are you using in your business?
We use Box and Dice.
Box and Dice. They're trained up on Box and Dice?
Absolutely.
Right.
And Property Me in the property management.
Listen, guys, I'm excited. Susan, you have shared it. You have shared the landing page that they can go. And out of curiosity, Nick and Jonathan, what happens now? Like, let's assume someone says, man, no brainer, I'm doing it. They go to that and just tell me what does the onboarding process look like? Let's assume you decide today I'm doing it. When will a person start getting their remote professional to start working with them?
So the first process for us is to do a discovery session with the client, with the agent, or with the business. Really try and understand the problems they're trying to solve. Once we have that information, we will go, whether it's 1, 2, 3 remote professionals. For this example, let's say the lead sales agent wants to put one sort of sales remote professional in their EBU. We will go into our academy and find the best 2 or 3 that are currently being trained and put them in front of that lead sales agent. So they'd get a video, an English speaking test, a personality test. So we do a whole bunch of testing on the remote professionals and provide it to the Australian client. Once the Australian client goes through those and selects one, we'll set up a Zoom call with the remote professional and the sales agent. If that's all good and they want to proceed, then our onboarding process starts from there. We don't make any apologies about that process being structured and very methodical, because we know that from a skill set level that we can get them to a certain level, but we also know that the relationship and the personality needs to click with the Australian business. So once the agent selects the remote professional, then our onboarding team will set an onboarding date. We'll do some fine-tuning training a week or 2 before they start, and then away we go. But we're also very, very conscious of post-onboarding date. So we're a business that is not, here's your remote professional and you never see us again. We're very involved after that process too, and we want to be involved in the growth, whether it be a lead sales agent, someone who's starting off, or a big business like Dan and Lee have. We want to be part of the growth of businesses across Australia and really make an impact in the industry.
Yeah. And I can tell you, if you're not aware of it, Nick Georges is arguably one of the great thought leaders in the PM space. He was a national executive for one of the very, very big brands overseeing their rent roll. And Jonathan's claim to fame is he's got to be the fastest grower of a rent roll I've ever seen. How many properties you got?
2,350 now.
And how long?
4.5 years.
Okay, so if you are, and that is that all organic? You didn't buy much of that, did you?
I bought about 150, so 2,100 and something is organic.
Kevin, you got a big rent roll, Kevin?
Yeah, we're about 750 now, Tom. So a little bit jealous of Jono's numbers.
That's 750 properties. There's still a big juicy check at the end of the month in your area anyway, because they're not cheap properties. So
that's fair. Look, it's don't worry, I'm spending a lot of time on organic growth chat with Jono. That is an absolute focus.
Gentlemen, it's an absolute pleasure. Wingman Group www.tom.com.au/Tom Panos is the easy access. Yes, I have an ambassador relationship with the guys. I don't get paid a commission for everyone that comes in there. I believe in the concept. I believe in letting agents know about it. And I don't like it when I see real estate agents be overwhelmed and stressed selling 2 properties a month, majoring on the minor. There is a better way. There is a better way. So thank you so much, Daniel. Great to see you. I'm watching from afar what you're doing there, growing fast, and well done. And Kevin, I haven't spoken to you in a long time. I'm just so pumped to hear 3 offices and smashing it, and congratulations. Well done.
Cheers, Tom. Much appreciated.
So we've
Thanks
got
a
a lot
lot.
we've got a lot of New Zealand clients on here. Is this available in New Zealand?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm looking forward to going to New Zealand. So if there's some businesses here that give me excuse to go, I'm happy to go.
As long as you're next to a golf course.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
All righty, team. You don't have a date for the you don't have the date yet for the Manila conference.
It'll be mid-September, Tom, but keen to start talking about what that looks like.
All righty, team. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Happy
guys.
Friday. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Tom.